feminists are floundering. In this video, she absolutely destroys a reporter trying to contort the narrative against Donald Trump. In this video, they ended up discovering tens of billions of dollars laundered by Democrats over the 76 days before Donald Trump became president of the United States. In this video, Elon Musk goes on a talk show with Qatar people and absolutely annihilates them on Doge. And in this video, Donald Trump walks away with 100-0 Senate vote. You heard correctly, 100-0 in the Senate. It is a bad day to be a libtard. Lock in, boys and girl. We start at the top. I think today's a crazy day. Insane day. It's just retards finding out all day. So definitely lock in, boys and girl. We have so many retards to make fun of. Now, I think it's very important to make fun of retards, which is why we do this. Now I want to make this clear. You might think that I am a force of evil by making fun of retards. You are wrong. I'm a force of chaos. The retards are the force of evil. So anyway, I want to show you this because I thought this was super, super crazy.
Yamish, good to see you.
Hi, guess. Thanks for taking the question.
Sure.
The president showed a video that he said showed more than 1,000 burial sites of white South Africans, and he said,
for full context, Donald Trump was in the Oval Office with black man in trouble, as they say, with the president of South Africa, and he showed him a video. He showed him a video of a highway where there were 1,000 white crosses on the side of the highway, and he said that these 1,000 white crosses are the graves of 1,000 white people that were murdered, racially murdered in South Africa. What are you doing about it? I covered this in my previous video, so we don't need to retread ground. The reporter and all the fake news people came together with the biggest gotcha moment of all time. The craziest gotcha moment in the history of time. They came together and they wanted to say, hey, it's not true. Those burial sites that Donald Trump mentioned, he invented them. They're not really burial sites. He lied. The president lied. Watch her get annihilated.
were murdered. We know that that was not true and that the video wasn't showing that. So I wonder, why did the president choose to show that?
What's not true, Yamish?
It's not true that the video was
What's
showing a burial site. It is unsubstantiated that that's the case.
No, it is true that that video showed the crosses that represent.
Which is what the president claimed.
The video showed images of crosses in South Africa about white farmers who have been killed and politically persecuted because of the color of their skin. And those crosses are representing their lives. Those crosses are representing their lives in the fact that they are now dead and their government did nothing about it. Are you disputing that there's no...
I'm disputing the fact that the video showed what the president claimed it showed, because it did not show that, but even more...
I had to show you this. This is crazy.
What I'm asking you is, who at the White House...
No, it did show that. It showed white crosses representing people who have perished because of racial persecution.
Verifies the videos that the president shows, and what protocols are in place when there's unsubstantiated information being put out for the world?
There wasn't you read.
Yamish, what's unsubstantiated about the video? The video shows crosses that represent the dead bodies of people who were racially persecuted by their government. In fact, the Associated Press, of all places, has a picture of that very monument, and the caption from the Associated Press is, "Each cross marks a white farmer who has been killed in a farm murder." So it is substantiated, not just by that video and the physical evidence that everybody saw on display in the Oval Office, but also by another outlet in this room, the Associated Press. So you can take it up with them if you believe the claim is unsubstantiated, and that's a ridiculous line of questioning.
She is completely correct. It is a ridiculous line of questioning. Now, the reason why I wanted to show you this is because the media does this trick where they manipulate things, and because I want to make sure you're aware that you may hate the media, but you do not hate the media nearly enough. You don't hate them enough, and that's what I'm here for. I have no enemies, but I am going to call the retards, because they deserve it. Make retards again, as I always say. So let's make this clear. That video that Donald Trump showed with 1,000 crosses on the side of the highway, those 1,000 crosses Trump said was a burial site, and it's based on graves because there's racial prosecution where they murdered thousands of white farmers in South Africa because they're white. They murdered them, and there were no punishments for these murders. It is an unbelievably deplorable thing. The news is like, Trump lied, the end. There's no one buried there. Trump lied. But if you look at the reality is those crosses aren't literally burial sites. The corpse isn't under the cross, but each cross represents a white farmer that was murdered due to racial prosecution. They were murdered. They were murdered, and there was no punishment for those murders, and there were people going to those crosses to pay respects to the people that were murdered as a memorial. So essentially, Trump told the truth. Trump said that these represent 1,000 dead white people that were murdered because of racial prosecution. But the media is like, he lied. They're not graves. He lied. He lied. And that is the classic media fucking bullshit. And I really like this story. I mean, obviously, not the fact that they're, white people getting murdered in South Africa. Obviously, don't love that part of the story, not gonna lie. But I do love the part of the story where the media absolutely shows how despicable it is when it comes to twisting narratives. And this is another reason why, that's why you have me. That's why you have me taking over. Listen, I don't want to be rude here or anything, but that's why we have a Nuxanor. I get more views than the average media station. Me, one individual random blue retard on the internet. So this is a fantastic day to be me, and a fantastic day to hate the media. You are welcome. So definitely subscribe for more media hatred. And now, the next thing that I have to show you, and this is insanity. Elon Musk went on a meeting with Michelle Hussein of the Qatar Economic Forum, who asked him some of the most ridiculous questions ever. The ridiculous questions of all time about Doge, and he absolutely annihilated and humiliated her. Now, I need to show you why Doge is a big dub, because this ended up going to Congress, where they exposed potentially one of the wildest scams and scandals in the history of the United States of America that actually got exposed. So lock in, boys and girls. I had to show you this. There were so many retard moments. The Democrats are retarded and cooked and fucked 210% and fucked and cooked. All right?
Everyone can agree that combating waste and inefficiency in government is a very good thing.
True.
But if you add that up, it's not going to get to 2 trillion over the lifetime of Doge.
What?
I'm sorry.
This is
What does that have to do with anything? Okay.
Elon Musk yesterday going after a reporter who was going after Doge and everything else using the NPC line that I love.
You've talked about $4 billion a day being saved.
Right.
But that won't get, which is, and I think everyone can agree that combating waste and inefficiency in government is a very good thing. But if you add that up, it's not going to get to 2 trillion over the lifetime of Doge.
Do you recognize how retarded she is? Are we on the same page? Do we see the level of retardation that is going on right here? She's sitting there to shit on Elon Musk. You're only saving $4 billion a day. What a failure. Am I right, guys? What a colossal failure. And she's sitting there on her high horse, stick up her vagina, and she's sitting there, Mr. Genius, you're only saving $4 billion a day. This is a colossal failure. And he's shocked. He's flabbergasted. He's like, what do you mean? $4 billion a day? That's crazy. Wait, I don't understand.
I'm sorry.
What? He's so confused.
The 4 billion a day, if Doge is going to run till next July, is not going to get you to $2 trillion.
Okay.
But you still say it's your aim, so we'll take that as read.
There's what Doge. I mean, I feel you're somewhat trapped in the NPC dialogue tree of a traditional journalist.
Bro annihilated her with that one sentence. You are in the NPC dialogue tree. And she is. She is literally trapped in her own little matrix bubble where she can only repeat random cringe journalist talking points without actually making any sense, just for like the gotcha moment. He is stunned by the level of stupidity that's going on out here.
So it's difficult when I'm conversing with someone who's trapped in the dialogue tree of a conventional journalist, because it's like talking to a computer.
Bro, she's literally asking NPC questions. She is the prompt. It's like talking to a VO3 AI-generated character. Just repeating talking points based on prompts, but having no idea the actual ramifications that she's saying. What she is saying is you're only saving $4 billion a day that will end up being $1.5 trillion over the time that you said you'd save $2 trillion. What a failure. Am I right, guys? Are these people retarded?
DOGE is an advisory group. We are doing the best we can as an advisory group. The progress made thus far.
And you have to realize something else that's crazy. The entire government is fighting these guys. All of the freaking libtard, retard idiots are out there storming the streets, screaming constitutional crisis, trying. Every judge is waking up, putting his shoes on, literally sitting down, and starts yapping and trying to stop them every possible way that they can. He is fighting half the government and saving this amount of money. They made it as hard as possible for him to actually stop this shit. You don't understand. It's like you got a judge, he's sitting in the cuck chair, watching his wife have sex with another man, trying his best to stop the government from actually running. And he's still saving $4 billion a day.
As an advisory group is excellent. I don't think any advisory group has done better in the history of advisory groups of the government.
Yeah.
We do not make the laws, nor do we control the judiciary, nor do we control the executive branch. We are simply advisors. In that context, we are doing very well. Beyond that, we cannot we cannot take action beyond that because we are not some sort of imperial dictator of the government. There are three branches of the government that...
Yeah, despite the fact that the entire media came to talk about constitutional crisis, essentially DOGE doesn't really have power. They're an advisory branch. They get to tell the government how much money is being wasted, and then the government steps up and stops it. You gotta realize what DOGE actually is. There's only so much they can do.
That are to some degree opposed to that level of cost savings. But nonetheless, let's not criticize whether there's 4 trillion, and instead look at the fact that 160 billion has been saved, and more will be saved too.
There's something so great that he did right there. So basically, she doesn't deny that they're saving $4 billion a day. What she's saying is, oh, but that's not going to get us to the $2 trillion.
The $2 trillion, you promised.
It's like, why even try? And that's just so ridiculous, right? Like, what would be like the Jordan Peterson version of that? You aim at something. It doesn't mean you're going to get the exact thing. It doesn't mean we're going to get it $2 trillion on the nose.
You shoot to the stars, you make it to the moon.
But, oh my God, we saved $1 trillion? I don't know. That would be pretty good. That's number one. But so what he's talking about there, so NPC, you guys know the phrase, it's non-playable character. This is when you're in a video game and, you know, you're a real person and you might meet someone if you're playing an online multiplayer game. You might meet someone else who's a real person on the other side of the screen. But the NPCs are the programmed players, and they have a dialogue tree, so they can.
I love watching these people try to describe nerd analogies. It's the funniest shit in the world.
Oh, it's if and this. They can only do certain things. So it's like you go to the store to buy a weapon if you're playing in, you know, like a medieval game, and you want to buy like chainmail or, you know, the ball with a spike on it or an axe. The guy who works at the store, he's an NPC. He's a non-playable character. He can only get you that or tell you don't have enough money for it or something like that. He can't go out to dinner with you, right? Like they're only programmed to do certain things.
He's trying so hard, bro.
The dialogue tree that he's talking about there is that they are just programmed to do certain things. The tree will give them so many, you know, they have a layer of answers here, and if you answer one way, then they have a different tree here, the branches here and here, but they can only do so much, and that's what these people do all the time.
I mean, yeah, he's right. He's so right. Thank you, bro, for explaining what an NPC is. But the point that I'm trying to make is, I feel like this was one of the craziest Elon Musk destructions I've seen in a very long time. It's like, he's asked questions. She admits that he's saving $4 billion a day, and she's just complaining over the fact that somehow it wasn't somehow more than that. And that is absolutely insane. It's mind-blowing. And when he called her out for being an NPC, that is amazing. I think that's just such an incredible analogy. Because people make the NPC jokes, but she is such an obvious existing part of it. And you look at the comments and it's insane. She says $4 billion a day like it's nothing. That's $4 billion a day that previously would have been laundered and wasted by greedy businessmen, politicians, and lobbyists. Had it not been for DOGE, you wouldn't have known about 99% of it. Correct! Correct! It is a colossal victory. And because somehow they have to try to twist everything into an L, and in my opinion, it just makes the media look like so much more of a clown. So that brings us to here. I wanted to get into Doge specifically today because this just happened in the Congress, and this is one of the craziest shits I've ever seen. I didn't watch this video yet. I just know what it's about. Essentially, they discovered that I think it's $93 billion were laundered by Democrats within the 76 days before Donald Trump went into office. And so A, the media is a gaggle of retards. B, the party, the actual Democratic Party, is getting exposed and spit roasted. So lock in, boys and girls. We have so many retards to make fun of today.
Mr. Secretary, I want to go back.
And by the way, I love this guy. This John Kennedy guy is like one of my favorite. I don't know like his politics, but he is fucking awesome. Every time he speaks, I fully love it. This guy is a goat, all right? This is the guy that said that AOC is the reason why you need instructions on a shampoo bottle.
There's some of your earlier testimony. Be sure I heard it correctly. The 76-day period you're talking about, that's the period between the time that President Trump was elected and President Biden left office. Is that right?
That's right.
That is correct.
That's right.
And during that short period of time, 76 days, how much taxpayer money went out the door of the Department of Energy?
From the Loan Program Office in loans and commitments, $93 billion.
Whew! That's crazy!
Well over twice as much as in the previous 15 years.
Bro, in 76 days, they spent more than double what they spent in 15 years trying to get as much money through this laundering, alleged laundering. Don't want to end up in court here with Jasmine Crockett spitting at me for being not black enough or whatever she does. But $93 billion just walked out the door. Please, dude.
So, how do you vet and do due diligence on a loan in 76 days? One loan, much less $93 billion. How do you do it?
Great question.
I think it's probably pretty clear it wasn't done in many cases.
No shit. No shit, it's a scam.
Told,
allegedly a scam.
Clearly in place stuff. There was lots of funds that have gone out the door and commitments that were made from businesses that provided no business plan, no numbers about their own financial solvency or how this project
So you're telling
work.
me that the Department of Energy in the 76-day period before their...
He's repeating it. He wants to make sure he's got this as clear as possible. So you're telling me Democrats scammed the taxpayers of $93 billion.
Boss was going to leave office. Gave or loaned money to entities that had no business plan?
Correct.
Bro, if that's not a scam, I don't know what is.
No financials?
Correct. A number of those were were before the 76-day period as well. I've come in with great concern about,
bro, you're either retarded or you're a scammer.
About how this institution, this great American institution, has been run and how American taxpayer money has been handled. I'm sorry everyone's upset that we're taking some time to do it, but what we've seen and what the record shows
I'm
is
not
just
upset. Could it be that a lot of people say you haven't returned your calls?
Oh, shit.
Could it be that you and your colleagues have returned the calls, but the people calling just didn't like the answer?
Oh, shit.
Could that be a possibility?
I'm not aware of that. You know, I give my cell phone number to any senator
Right.
that
I know
wants
you
it,
do.
and I return my calls.
Of course.
I mean, has your department gone
Dude is sweating. He's shitting bricks. Bro's pants are not the same color anymore.
dark? Somebody said your department's gone dark. Is it dark over there?
It doesn't look dark behind me.
I don't see any of you sitting on your hands. Somebody made that charge. I see everybody's hands. Let me ask you something else, Mr.
Oh,
Secretary.
shit. For the record, $93 billion, that is 31 times the amount of money sent to Israel in the last year that everyone's crying about in the Senate. Again, I think it's fully valid if you don't want money sent to Israel. I'm just trying to put this into perspective, how fucked up this is.
Does anybody ever come to the Department of Energy to get some of this free money? And
free money?
lie to you?
Oh, no.
I have not experienced that, but I think it's a reasonable assumption that has happened.
Does anybody?
Oh, it's reasonable that people just come and pick up free money. This is amazing, man. Bro, this is the craziest shit in the world. How did this even happen?
Come to you. Is it conceivable that some of these folks that heard about this free money came to you with a half-baked idea?
Uh-oh.
I think it's very conceivable. In fact, I've seen such plans that were half-baked would be charitable.
That didn't have a business plan, right?
Correct.
Oh, so people walked in without a business plan and walked out with billions of dollars of free money that came from my taxes. Cool, cool.
A promise to develop one, to find a location.
Just give me the money and I'll develop the plan later.
Correct.
And this happened?
And now...
Holy shit.
You're going back
many
through,
such cases.
Not money that's already been contracted, but you're going back through and checking each one of these loans and these grants to make sure there was no stealing, aren't you?
We are.
Yeah, that very healthy pause. Cute, healthy pause there. You're going back and making sure you weren't scammed, right? Yeah.
Sure there was no incompetence.
Oh, of course. Incompetence? What are you talking about?
We're looking at...
Let's be clear. This is taxpayer dollars, all right? This isn't their income. No. This is my money that I gave the government that they're using on this shit.
And yeah, my blood pressure is rising right now just thinking about what we have seen. And
I am currently very close to a heart attack, Senator Kennedy. I am very close to a stroke. I'm feeling it.
What did happen at the department.
And you're going to tell some of these boondoggles no, aren't you?
That's correct.
And they're going to be upset, aren't they?
That's correct.
And they ought to be upset, shouldn't they?
Oh,
I don't think they should be upset. I think they should be ashamed.
Uh-huh. Those boondoggles are having a bad day.
It's rare that I'm speechless.
Oh, shit.
But I want to be sure I understood. The people running the department...
I love how he's like confounded that you can have fraud at this scale in the government. And I just say, listen, you can either cry about the incompetence and scams of the government, or you could laugh at the retards getting smoked. I think that laughing is healthier.
Energy for President Biden's administration.
Either you lost a lot of money, or you are very addicted to Genshin Impact.
Shoveled $93 billion, not million, $93 billion out the door in 76 days, and it just happened to be the time between when President Trump was elected and President
What a
Biden
coincidence.
was leaving.
What a coincidence. It happened to be the 76 days transitional period between Biden and Trump that $93 billion disappeared. Yep.
Is that right?
It is correct and distasteful.
I said distasteful, huh? All right, bro. All right, bro. Look at this guy. Look at him sweating.
Look, I hope you take whatever time you need to go through all of these projects penny by penny. I mean, I've heard this testimony today. Well, it'll cost jobs in my state. If somebody steals $50 million and goes and spends the money in their state, that's going to stimulate the economy, isn't it?
Yes, it will.
But that's still stealing, isn't it?
No shit.
And it's still illegal, isn't it?
Yeah, no shit.
Yes.
I mean, they were spending money at the Department of Energy like it was ditch water.
Oh,
Their
shit.
budget went from $60 billion to $160 billion.
Oh, my God.
Since fiscal year 2020.
Over the course of 1 year, they increased their amount of money, their budget by over $100 billion, and it vanished in 76 days.
It just sounds to me like there were a lot of people coming to the Department of Energy who had all 4 feet and their snout in the trough.
I love this guy. I love him, man. He's cooking.
And I hope you'll turn down the boondoggles and refer the thieves to the Department of Justice.
Yeah, no shit.
We will indeed. Senator, the one complication in there too is mixed in there are good companies doing good things honestly.
I fucking hate this so much. It's like, yes, we ripped people off for $93 billion, but some good things did happen. Good things happen, I'm telling you.
With credible plans.
And you're trying to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yes. That's what we're trying to do. That's our job, and we're doing it. But there's a lot of chaff.
Let me ask you one final question. Let me go back to how many employees you have.
Oh, shit.
Now, there have been some allegations today that you've cut tens of thousands of employees. Is that accurate?
Well, I think the allegations were thousands, and our head.
Can you imagine people complaining that they're firing people? Good shit, they're firing people. Like, I don't understand. These people are either incompetent or criminal. Why shouldn't they be fired?
Count will ultimately be reduced by thousands, but we are doing it slowly.
You've got 16,000 now?
Yes.
And you think you can do it with fewer than 16,000?
Correct.
What's wrong with that?
I think it's just common sense business.
Yeah. Businesses do it every day in the real world.
No shit. Yeah, but somehow the government's not the real world. People could just randomly get away with bullshit.
American taxpayers deserve it.
That's never happened in the federal government. I mean, it's easier to divorce your spouse than to get rid of a federal employee up here. That's not the way the world works, is it?
No, that's bullshit. That is so bullshit. And people on the left are crying. They're crying that government workers are getting fired. No, fuck them. Fuck them. Seriously, what are we doing?
It's not the way the world should work, and I give enormous credit to President Trump, who
right.
had the boldness to
Look
say,
at that. Look at that. Man gets caught with his pants down, immediately starts sucking the schlong.
If there's a right thing that needs to be done and it's difficult, please do it. And so, yes, this is new territory. This is not what happens normally in the federal government. But
my asshole. It's just because it was discovered. That's why it's not normal in the federal government, because they just found out about it.
What needs to happen periodically in the federal government, and I give the credit to President Trump, who's willing to take the heat and has set the departments free, make the changes you need to make to better serve American taxpayers and American consumers. And across his administration, that's what's being done.
All right. On that note, I just wanted to clear that up, Mr. Secretary, because I don't know you to be a person who doesn't return his phone call.
Holy shit, he murdered him. He actually murdered him. Now, before going into Trump winning literally 100-0 in the Senate, I saw some people in chat making fun of John Kennedy. So I just want to make you this
clear. You
clear.
hate cops just because they're cops? The next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
As I've said about her before, I think she's the reason.
That is the greatest line ever.
There are directions on a sham.
If you hate cops because they're cops, if you hate cops because they're cops, next time you're in trouble, call a crackhead. That is the greatest line ever. I love this man.
As I've said about her before, I think she's the reason. There are directions on a shampoo bottle.
When you have hypothermia, you don't strip naked and run in the snow.
Right.
Senator Schumer never makes the same mistake twice. He makes it 5 or 6 times just to make sure he got it right. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Republicans aren't perfect, but the other side is crazy.
These people are about 10 exits past normal. The party is controlled right now by people who majored in online activism with a minor in puberty block.
Does Freeman like Musk stole their dog or something. Just from a political standpoint, you never interfere with your enemy when he's his own ass. They're worried that she doesn't. They're worried that she was that kid in grade school who ate paste. People are worried that if she walked by a polygraph machine, the dang thing would explode. He basically used the Democrats as a chew toy. Bro. If you think this list is real, you probably think that Elvis is alive and running a small bait stand on Lake Erie.
Oh,
My
God.
Democratic friends, Brian, seem determined to find out what it's like to be a Jets fan. It sounds like the game room of a mental hospital. They're so upset. That's like being opposed to children or prosperity or golden retrievers. Carrots are like whiskey. A little whiskey under the right circumstances can be refreshing.
Fuck, man. I
Too
love
much
this guy.
whiskey under the wrong circumstances, and you end up drunk as a goat. God created the world, but everything else is made in China. For some people, the best way to get back on your feet is to get off your ass. I'd tell them, look, you just got to try harder not to suck.
Fuck, man. So, yeah, anyway, that's why I felt like we had to... I love this guy. He's amazing. Anyway, to wrap up this video, I wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive on how Donald Trump, despite the fact that he is probably one of the most politically hated people in the history of the world, one of the most prosecuted people ever in politics. Every time Trump does something or Elon does something, everyone does their absolute best to twist it into him doing a nightmare deal for the United States. But he walked out of the Senate with 100-0 votes on his no tax on tips, and he passed his big, beautiful bill. He keeps winning. This is Trump's world, and we are living in it, all right? I'm just saying.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on...
Biden was terminally ill and mentally compromised. His staff in Congress hid it. Reporters covered it up. Trump is a threat to democracy. True!
Exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left.
All right.
The taxes are just too damn high.
True!
We're going through a cost of living crisis,
Based.
or I guess you could just call it hitting the early stages of socialism. You know, this era of overtaxation and massive bloated debt accompanied with low economic growth. It's been an utter disaster outside of the moments where they're printing all kinds of trillions of dollars to make it seem like the economy is doing great, but really it's just the top, let's call it 10% of asset holders who are really benefiting. Outside of those little moments, it's been absolutely horrible for the average person. People are struggling and they need a little bit of relief, especially on the issue of taxes. And well, folks, it seems as though Donald Trump has heard the call. It's part of the mandate, and he's going all in. We got the one big beautiful bill coming in.
Yeah.
And on top of it, as the negotiations are going through,
and it
Ted
worked,
Cruz
by the
decides
way. It worked. He passed it. Everyone was freaking out about the big beautiful bill. But he passed it.
No tax on tips.
He keeps winning. This man just walks out. He declared a war on the universe, and he keeps winning. It's gotta be rough to be a Democrat. Like, on the one hand, you're a retard, and I don't feel that bad for you. But on the other hand, like, can you imagine waking up and be like, well, today we're gonna lose. And you rinse and repeat every day for the next 4 years. Wake up, check the news, lose, go to sleep, wake up, lose. Can you imagine living that lifestyle? It's gotta be daunting, Republicans and future Republicans.
Tips in a bill and puts it up for Senate vote, and guess what? The thing just passed 100-0, voted unanimously. It's a total paradigm shift. It's not just on foreign policy, but it's on taxes and economics too. There's a philosophy shift happening, folks. Let's have that conversation. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks.
All right.
So let's first start off with the news. Here's Ted Cruz speaking on the Senate floor.
What we just saw is the Senate passing no tax on tips 100-0.
I've never heard this before in my life, by the way. Literally never. It's always basically 52-48. It's almost always like super hair's breadth down the middle. Have you ever seen 100-0? This is like biblical level backlash that the world is receiving right now, because you have to understand something. Donald Trump gets unbelievable amounts of hate on the internet. Everyone considers him a gigantic threat in every way. He's a villain in every way. How the flying fuckballs did this man walk out with 100-0 victory? 100-0. You know why? The answer is simple. Because anyone that would vote against this is voting against America. And they knew that. It was so obviously the right move for America. Anyone that would vote no tax on tips would lose their fucking job immediately. Immediately. They would get voted out of the Senate. They would no longer have a position in the government. It is that hated. So they had to go with the Trump train. That said, I did not see a single Democrat, not one. I didn't see a single one of them go out there and be like, wow, it's good Trump is doing this thing that literally every other president promised to do and never actually did. I didn't see any of them doing it. They're trying to get this by as quickly as possible. You want to know something else that's fucked up? This shit wasn't in the news. I didn't open CNN and see them say that Trump won 100-0, no tax on tips, good for him, good for America, good for the average person. Hell nah. No one's talking about that shit. No one. It's a 100-0 landslide victory. Why didn't Biden do this? Okay, Biden was a sock puppet controlled by necromancers. Why didn't Obunga do this? The answer is simple. Tax on tips gives the government more money. Trump is playing a dangerous game where on the one hand he's saving a lot of money that's pouring into the government by DOGE cutting off a lot of these bullshit costs. And on the other hand, Trump is cutting different taxes. He is subsidizing our tax-payer dollars and instead of our taxes paying the government, to a large extent, he's replacing that with tariffs, and he is replacing that with cutting fraud and waste. This is insane. He is rebalancing the government in front of our eyes, and the media doesn't want to mention the fact that it is beneficial to every American citizen. And that's why we're here, folks, to make fun of retards.
Every Democrat
because I feel like I'm the only person that actually does the news these days. I can't trust the media.
Voted yes. Every Republican voted yes. The way the process operates is when you're seeking to pass something by unanimous consent, you circulate what's called a hotline.
But don't worry, guys, because the media is busy freaking out over the fact that Trump said that these are graves, when in fact they weren't graves, they were memorials, and his point was completely correct. No, so that was definitely something more important to talk about.
Every senator gets the chance to say, are you going to object? And on the Republican side and on the Democrat side, every senator said, nope, goodbye me. And so this is now passed, and we're sending it to the House of Representatives. Here's the good news. With what we just saw now, the certainty that we will see no tax on tips become the law of the land, I think is very close to 100%.
Yep.
As the senator from Nevada mentioned, it is included in the House's one big, beautiful bill, and whether it passes freestanding or as part of the bigger bill, one way or another, no tax on tips is going to become law and give real relief to hardworking Americans. So I'm proud of what the Senate just did. And I commend Democrats and Republicans, even in a time of partisan division, coming together and agreeing on this common sense policy.
Yeah, it's like, good job coming together. I'm really proud of everyone for voting this way. And the media was dead silent, because how dare the media even give a tiny victory to Donald Trump? First of all, complete loser, partisan, hack, bullshit motherfuckers, too busy, high on their own juices and whatever fucking cocaine they bring to the offices before recording their bullshit. But this is insane. This is actually insane. This is a fantastic W for America. And the news doesn't feel like talking about it, because why should the news talk about it?
I think that's terrific for workers in all 50 states.
Also got a headline here from NBC News. Senate unexpectedly passes the No Tax on Tips Act.
Unexpectedly.
A unanimous vote. Senator Jackie Rosen, Democrat from Nevada, called up the bipartisan bill for immediate passage, and no senator objected. The measure now goes to the House. And you know what? While people are celebrating this, especially people working in the service sector, it's not just about the no tax on tips, folks. It's about a new new thought process entirely.
That's exactly what I just said. He's completely right. It is a new thought process on how the government makes money. And it's replacing a lot of the money that us taxpayers are giving to the government, instead using tariffs.
Experiment, a new signal. The political class is finally bending the knee to the Trump economic vision.
Yes,
and
sir.
tax relief is being delivered. They're extending the wildly successful
sir.
2017 tax cuts. Then you got no tax on tips. And the one big beautiful bill is most likely to be passed here.
It does! Spoilers! Yeah, it just passed. It literally just passed right before I'm recording this. Yeah, it literally just passed.
Following the reconciliation process. And so it's back to prioritizing one of my favorite words, productivity. This is gonna be good. Now,
Trump is actually cooking. He went into office to cook, and he's cooking. If everyone hated it, how did taxing tips start? Because it gave the government more money. The government made money through taxing tips. Of course the government wants people to tax tips. Obviously. But if you are the goddamn pundit that actually votes to keep taxes on tips, then they're gonna hate you and throw you out. That's the reason why. Duh.
I know the Democrat detractors are going on, playing the same fear-mongering games that they always do, right? It's the same argument you'll hear from every Democrat talking head and media hack all over TV. Oh, we can't cut taxes. No, we have too much debt. The debt's gonna grow.
Actual retards, by the way. Complete and utter retards. The only person ever in the history of America that put a dent in the debt was Trump's first term. So this is insane. Did the big beautiful bill pass? Yes, sir. The big beautiful bill has passed. It's big and it's beautiful. All 7 swing states. It passed. Trump is big. He's beautiful. He's orange.
Bro, if we don't increase your taxes, we gotta increase your taxes so we could pay off this debt, even though they keep taking more money, but then end up spending more anyways. It's not like the increase in taxes have affected the debt. No, quite to the opposite. And that's where we're really seeing a philosophy shift, because the Democrat argument is completely backwards. You don't solve a debt crisis by suffocating the economy. You solve a debt crisis by unleashing productivity, by making America a magnet for foreign investment, by alleviating the tax burden so more money can be spent doing, building, producing. Production is the key, and especially commodity production, as I'm always saying. And this is where the Trump administration is totally changing the game, because it's a brand new philosophy, a different outlook.
Yeah.
It's called debt to GDP ratio.
You talked about our debt being on an unsustainable path earlier this month. Won't this bill just make it worse?
There are several components there.
All right.
So if we unpack it, there is the potential growth of the debt, but what's more important is that we grow the economy faster. So what we've seen under the past 4 years, and what we inherited, I inherited 6.7% deficit to GDP,
yes, sir.
which was the highest deficit when we were not at war, not in a recession. So we've been trying to bring down the spending, and we are going to grow the revenue side. So we are going to grow the GDP faster than the debt grows, and that will stabilize the debt to GDP, which even Secretary Yellen and I agree is the most important number.
So when in the first Trump administration, you were not a part of it, but obviously President Trump was, there were tax cuts passed, and the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget says that those tax cuts added $2.5 trillion to the national debt and did not, I mean, there's always a hope that it will bring about so much revenue growth that it will pay for itself, but that didn't happen.
Well, we also had something called COVID, so there was a rescue plan.
Yep.
This is separate from that,
That's
though.
true.
I'm aware of the COVID trillions.
But the CBO scoring was about $1.5 trillion off. And again, what matters is the growth. And during President Trump's first term, up until March of 2020, we had very high non-inflationary growth. And that's what I think we can have again this time.
Very simply said, if the economy is strong,
It's as easy as that. There it is, baby.
The debt is manageable. Bingo.
True.
That is the entire point, and it flies clearly right over the heads of all these idiotic leftoids.
And the craziest thing is watching people like, Bernie Sanders and everyone freaking out about the big, beautiful bill. And honestly, I think it's because, the big, beautiful bill is aiming to do 2 things that I think are fantastic, that people are scared of because they're idiots. Let me show you. These are 2 things that the big, beautiful bill is trying to do.
Medicaid will no longer be used to pay for barbaric gender mutilation procedures on minor children.
Woo! Let's go! Yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. That's something great. Hell yeah! Congratulations, America. You're saving children. All right, now, first of all, this saves them a lot of money. All right, let's be clear here. This saves a lot of money because you got to realize it's the government fucking paying for these surgeries mutilating children. And then the Democrats are like, we have to mutilate more kids. No! Think of the children we can mutilate, goddammit. Anyway, so I just want to make this clear. That's a massive W. All right, obviously the Democrats are upset about this, but no, this is fucking awesome. Okay, all right. Imagine your taxpayer dollars were going to mutilate kids. I'm glad that's done with. Now listen to the next one.
And the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are currently improperly receiving Medicaid benefits will be kicked off the program to preserve it for hardworking American citizens who need it.
Yes, that is exactly what I wanted to hear. Nothing but W's. Oh my God, endless victories here. Yes, for sure. Bro, why the fuck should my taxpayer dollars go to pay for illegal immigrants that jumped over the border, that are here illegally, that are stealing money from someone who needs it? 100%. I literally support this all the way. This undeniably puts more money into the system that helps actual Americans. Yes. Yes, that's amazing. This is fantastic.
President Trump and Republicans are protecting Medicaid benefits for pregnant women, children, disabled individuals, low-income seniors and families, and the most vulnerable Americans in our society. And that's what Democrats are so angry about.
Yes, sir.
Basic Medicaid protections
yes,
that will stop the funding of transgender insanity and illegal aliens from ripping off American taxpayers.
Essentially, instead of hundreds of millions to billions of dollars spent, well, billions, absolutely billions of dollars, instead of billions of dollars being spent on people that shouldn't be getting anything from the country, illegal immigrants, and people who want to fucking mutilate children, instead of billions of dollars going to that, it's going to Americans. If you oppose this, you're a retard. So anyway, obviously the Democrats are absolutely freaking out because this goes against their shit. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's Project 2025. Listen, man, y'all are crazy.
And zero finance/business experience bureaucrats, they just want you to give them more money.
And by the way, it absolutely reached the billions for people that are skeptical. 1.4 million illegal immigrants getting Social Security? What do you think that they're getting? If each of them gets $1,000, that's already $1.4 billion.
They could continue to stack more and more debt on your children and the next generation, but the real solution to tackling the debt is GDP growth. You can cut taxes and then find efficiencies in government spending and increased business and foreign investment from cutting taxes and making America a more business-friendly environment and production-friendly environment will actually lead to tax collection increases because there's so much more business happening.
Yes, sir.
So you can essentially increase tax collection by decreasing taxes.
Is that not insanely awesome? He has an entire new Trump has an entire new philosophy, a complete new crazy philosophy on exactly what he wants the government to look like. Instead of money coming out of my pockets, it's money that's being developed through business, through tariffs, through extra methods, not wasting it on things like lesbian poetry in Iraq and transgender tap dancing in Uzbekistan, and bullshit things like that. And it's also not being spent on illegal immigrants and on child mutilation. This is crazy, bro.
Of course, the key to it all, increasing production of energy, unleashing American...
and that's the other major big one. Drill, baby, drill. He is fucking cooking. He is absolutely cooking.
Resources, not only for domestic products, but also for exporting natural gas, exporting fossil fuels, exporting minerals. And what's interesting is that a lot of people don't seem to remember that that's essentially what Trump was doing during his first term in office. That is before the pandemic numbers skewed the whole outlook. But we saw 3.5% GDP growth, record low unemployment across all demographics, wage growth for the working and middle class, energy independence, energy production at all-time highs, and the tax cuts didn't increase the deficit. COVID spending did. You know, Jake Tapper in that clip earlier with Scott Bessent claims that Trump added $2.5 trillion in debt, but actually $1.5 trillion of those dollars was COVID related. It's not tax policy.
Which is unbelievably unfair. Like such a crazy, wildly unfair thing to say. I mean, listen, I have a, I don't want to say this. I feel like it's going to be controversial. It's going to be controversial. I don't know if I should say it. Do you think COVID was invented to make Trump lose the election? No, that can't be. That's crazy. No, I don't believe that. That's wild. Nah.
And even the CBO admitted that their forecasts were wrong and growth was stronger than expected. There's already a proof of concept. It's called Donald Trump's first term in office before the pandemic. But of course, the Democrats don't want you to know this. They want you to commit to Bidenomics, just endless money printing, $6 trillion in new borrowing, despite no longer being in the midst of a pandemic. During the recovery phase, inflation through the roof, gas prices in the stratosphere, and then of course attack the oil and gas industry, apply all kinds of burdensome regulations, and then talk all year about how you're increasing people's taxes and corporate taxes, and then just watch economic productivity completely stagnate while government spending is up, and you're printing trillions of dollars at high interest rates. It's idiotic, folks, and I think the Trump administration is on to something.
Yeah, it's a new perspective on how to deal with this shit, and for real, it's really fun watching people freak out. It's a bright future. Obviously, every change comes with risks. No one knows the future. Who knows if COVID-2 electric boogaloo happens? No, no one knows what the hell's happening, all right? But I think we can all undoubtedly come together and say that, yeah, this is what the American people voted for. And fuck you for being a whiny little bitch in the media, just sitting and crying about how Trump is ruining the world.
Spur the economy to increase tax collections, apply a 10% global tariff, meanwhile cut taxes domestically to increase economic participation, then attract a bunch of foreign investment, creating jobs and more tax revenues in the system,
strategy.
And then find efficiencies in government spending,
shut
down useless departments, cut the spending, cut, and all of a sudden, you have a balanced budget, probably even a surplus.
You probably have a profitable government, plus working on the tax, the national debt, plus Americans paying less taxes. It's fucking awesome. It's so good. It makes me wonder why the retards in the government and in the media need to keep painting Trump as the bad guy. Like, do they realize they're putting the clown makeup on all by themselves?
A couple of years. I think they're gonna do it. Some people might say that I'm blinded by my bias. And look, that may be true, but all I know is that genuinely I feel like the Trump administration is onto something here, and the results are gonna speak for themselves. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe.
Yeah, I'll drop a link to this in the description, obviously. But yeah, so that's what I kind of wanted to say. I prepared this whole little speechals so that I could get this point across. The retards are tarding around, and it's time to call retards for what they are. Again, I'm not trying to propagandize people here or anything, but I am trying to make fun of retards. I think throwing shit at the retards makes society healthier, and I'm trying to bring this back, okay? I am at the forefront of throwing shit at retards. Metaphorically speaking, of course. So, between the media twisting Trump's white genocide shit, to tracking down $93 billion of fraud, to Elon Musk absolutely crushing $4 billion a day of saving, but the media still has to cry about it, to people complaining about the big, beautiful bill, but despite all that, Trump still walks out with 100-0 votes in the Senate. This last 2-3 days was mind-boggling, eye-opening, and anyone that didn't watch this video is probably living in the dark in regards to how fucking phenomenal shit happened this week and how bullshit the media is. It paints a picture of who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. And let's continue laughing at retards in the next video, ladies and gentlemen. Stay weird, fam. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.